Good morning, Earthlings, and welcome back to the channel. I'm back here again with the segment where I share my personal music opinions with you. I'm not afraid to get controversial here a little bit, and I'm not afraid to engage in some discussion down in the comments section if this opens up some interesting topics of conversation for you. My first opinion is that you should never run your green screen through the dryer. At least not if you can absolutely help it. This just seemed like the easy way to clean it to me, but it ended up getting really wrinkly and it might be hard to use. As far as the settings inside your graphics program, it might be more difficult to edit out the green screen background if it's wrinkly, because the shadows are going to be different. So no green screen in the dryer unless you have a gigantic ironing board. I do not. Moving on. So the main point that I would like to get to today is I would like to talk about progressive rock or virtuosic performers in general. I've always been a fan of really technical and really show-offy musicians, as I'm sure a lot of you out there have. There's the other camp of people who say that extremely technical playing is just self-indulgent and it doesn't really serve the purpose of the song and it isn't enjoyable to listen to. I am the prog guy. I like me some complicated music for sure. But that kind of brings a few issues along with it though, doesn't it? Like in my own playing style, I have certain things that limit what I'm able to do, such as my hand strength, and just to be completely real here, the amount of time that I actually get to invest into practicing is not that much. So my own skill level and my own abilities really hinder me from writing and playing the music that I truly want to be playing. But that is not to worry because I'm kind of trying to go and innovate in my own direction here, and I'm developing, maybe I'm not actually developing it, maybe I'm just borrowing it from someone else. So just for my purposes, I'm calling the genre pseudo-prog. And what I mean by that is I'm just kind of borrowing bits and pieces of progressive rock or the progressive rock sensibilities, and I'm applying them to other genres that I play. Like my electronic music, which gets kind of in the realm of like trip-hop or like video game soundtrack kind of feelings. Or my acoustic guitar-based music, which kind of centers around like folk or grunge or alternative rock. I feel like these are kind of interesting styles to apply prog techniques such as polyrhythms, weird time signatures, polymeters, a lot of discordant harmonies that you wouldn't usually see. I really like to try to inject these techniques into a lot of different genres, and I think it yields pretty interesting results. So another kind of negative side effect of glorifying these very virtuosic players and idolizing all these progressive rock bands that have a lot of complicated song structure. So it kind of goes hand in hand that a lot of people view music that is any less technical than this as inferior music, which I don't think is really fair. I don't really think that's how I feel personally, but I have to admit that for a very significant portion of my life and my development as a musician, that I have fallen victim to what they like to call the PROG elitism. Meaning that progressive rock and other genres where just raw talent and pure ability are the greatest measure of success, a lot of people place too much importance on this and make it the only standard which they measure music by. So for me, this kind of started when I was like 19 or so, and I was hanging out with my old bassist a lot, and he would be playing a lot of bands like the Mars Volta would be a good example, and Tool would be another great example. It wasn't really my first time being exposed to music like this, but it was my first time really, stopping to like chill out and really listen to it and take it in and analyze it. And from that point on, I went and I discovered King Crimson, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and Dream Theater, and all these other bands, and it really became an obsession for me really quick. But at the time, I was playing very simple power chord rhythm guitar and being the lead singer of a poppy punk band, and this new world of music I was discovering was far different than what I was actually involved with playing. So this could go on to be a much longer story, but to keep it the short version, this prog elitism, I feel like it kind of erroneously ruined my appreciation for a lot of decent genres of music, including the genre that I was playing, the exact music which I was trying to create. So after an embarrassingly long period as an obnoxious music snob who would diss bands that don't write complicated stuff and put down music that was simpler in structure, now in my more adult grown-up life, I'm going back and I'm rediscovering bands that I used to put down, and I'm rediscovering genres that I used to discount as being garbage music that didn't have any worth. Especially acts like in the nu metal genre, like Limp Bizkit or Korn or Mudvayne. These are all bands that have been heavily ridiculed in circles of elite guitarists and elite musicians, and I think that is very much so not fair to these artists. And I don't think it's fair to yourself as a listener to discount really, really good music and really good bands that could otherwise be a very enjoyable experience to you, but you won't be open to it because it's not a cool thing to like. And I know I'm rambling too long here to kind of get to a pretty simple point, and that point is just like what you like. Don't worry about what is cool. Don't worry about what fits your image of what a virtuosic musician should be. If something sounds good to you, then just enjoy it. There are going to be haters in literally every genre of music. There's going to be haters of literally any band you could possibly think of. It's my personal opinion that if people can idolize bands like AC/DC, but then like a band like Tool can be universally hated, then it just doesn't make any sense anymore and all bets are off. So just like what you like and don't worry about what the haters are saying. Anyway, now it's time for my artist recommendation, and I don't think that I've mentioned Sonic Youth on the channel here yet. I know they're not super obscure or anything, but I think that a good portion of people out there may have missed them or may have at least tried to get into Sonic Youth but not chosen a very approachable album. They're pretty noisy, they're pretty weird, and they're definitely a very experimental band. Despite all of the weird stuff that they do, they can really lock into a solid groove and deliver some really catchy hooks, but then also go into a complete nightmare of artistic noise hell in the same exact song 5 minutes later. And they're just crazy and random, and I love the music they make. I would say their most solid and best albums are Dirty or Daydream Nation, but if you're looking for something a little bit more approachable with a little bit more of like an indie rock kind of sensibility, then I think that Sonic Nurse is a good introduction. And that will be all for this time. Thank you everybody for sticking around, and thanks for watching. I hope you all
have fun out there.
This is a shout out for my one lone Patreon supporter, John Johnson. He is a good friend and frequent musical collaborator, and I appreciate you a lot, bud. If anyone else is interested in supporting my channel financially in some way, you can head over to my link here. It's patreon.com/TyWolfMusic, and you could offer me a small monthly donation. It would make me super, super duper happy.